Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Megelles studio. My name's Lisa, and this afternoon I'm going to do a run through on how to make this absolutely gorgeous little Hatbox bag. As you all know, I love zippers, but I also like making round things. It comes from my bear making days. Now, when you make this bag, we're going to make it in three sections. You've got your bottoms and your gusset and your top. So we're actually going to make the round gusset, and then we're going to insert the top and the bottom into it. We're also going to put a little pocket inside it. Now, this is what you need to make the bag. To make this little bag, you need several coordinating fabrics. The longest piece you need is 20 inches long by 5 inches wide. The next piece you need is 20 inches long by 3 inches wide. Then out of your fabric, you need 4 circles, 7 inches. You need a strip of fabric 4 inches by about 5 inches wide. That can vary depending on the size of your bag, and you'll see that when we get into the video. You need a little strip of fabric about 2 inches wide, and you fold that into the middle, and then you stitch down either side. You also might need a little bit of mesh if you want to put a little pocket inside. You see on this little guy here, I've put a little pocket in the lid, and the way that I make that little pocket, I have got double-sided elastic, and I put a little bit of that and stitch that over the top of some mesh. Now, you need to interface several pieces that you have. So with your largest piece, which is 5 inches wide, you need to cut some interfacing, which is 4 1/4 inches wide. Iron that to the back so you have seams evenly on either side. And then you need a piece on the 3 inches, which is 2 1/4 inches wide. So you iron that along the back edge of that. Now, you also will need to put some interfacing on 2 of the 4 circles. Now, one of those circles will be the base, and the other circle will be the inner lid of your bag. You will also need a couple of extra zipper pulls, and as well as a 7-inch circle template. You will need a 6-inch circle template, and you will need 2 pieces of bag batting or bag foam cut to 6 inches to go on the inside. Now, what we need to do if we want to make our circles and put a bit of decoration on the top of our bag, what I've got here is a half square triangle block that I made up earlier. It was in my scrap, so I grabbed it, and I thought that'll make a really nice top for the bag. So what I've got on here, I've got my circle template. I'm lining up the center of my circle template with the center of the blocks, and I'm going to run with my pencil around it, or my pen. Now, these friction pens, please only use them on an area of anything that you're not going to ever see. So then you cut that out and you get your one I prepared earlier, top for your bag. Now, with all of these pieces for your bases and things like that, when you actually iron them, you'll need to iron your interfacing, like I said earlier. Your interfacing needs to be on the back of one of each side piece. Then fold them into quarters like that. This will just help it make it easier when you go to sew it in a few minutes. Now, to start with, we're going to make our pocket for the inside top. What I did earlier, I prepared this. I've got some mesh and I've put some elastic across the top, and I'm just going to put that across my pocket, but I'm going to line it up with those folds that I've got there, and I want it to go about 3/4 across. So all I'm going to be doing on here is I'm just going to tack this around the edges of the top of my inside lid. Had to think of what I'm going to be calling all these things. So I've sewn that one round. That's just tacking that in, and that'll make a nice little pocket in the lid. Put that to one side. You can trim that off too. Now, with your outside fabric, iron it in half right sides together, and then what you do with your zipper is you lay your zipper all the way along that inside edge, then fold the other side of the fabric over so you're wrapping around your zipper. Take it to your machine and lower your foot and work out where your needle's sitting. You may want to find that you want to have it in between your there and there. You want to go about halfway. So just adjust your needle position and move your needle over. So when you've got your needle in the right position, make sure that you can feel where your zipper tape is. See, we can, if I actually run my awl down there, you can see where the crease is, and then you run your foot along. Now in this method, I don't use a zipper foot. So I'm using my normal foot and I change the position of the needle. Now run that all the way down. Now we'll finger press that all the way along and finger press the other side all the way along. Keep that out of the way. And now we want to do the lid part of our bag. So same thing again, we've pressed it in half right sides together. Put that in, make sure you match up each end. Put that along there. Now you can use some pins if you like. I don't tend to use pins very often, or you can, the little clips don't tend to hold it, but I think if you've got nice stiff fabric, it actually sits quite nicely. So then sew all the way to the end. Now we'll go to the ironing board and we'll give that a press and press both sides out. Now make sure when you come back to your machine after pressing those seams out that you set your machine back to your standard straight stitch. What we need to do is we need to match up our raw edges, and we're just going to straight stitch right down and keep all those raw edges together. Now this stitching line that we're going to do, we'll actually use it as a guide when we're sewing our base and our top on. Now I'll do the same for the top edge. And now we're going to top stitch down the side. Now when we top stitch, we're just going to run the foot just along the edge of the zipper tape, and you'll find that your needle will sit perfectly on the fabric. So go down each side. Now before we trim this, we need to put our zipper pulls on. Now to put your zipper pulls on, just pull your zipper tape apart about 2 or 3 centimeters, and then grab your zipper pull. Put one on one side, one on the other side. I like to wrap it around my finger, and you'll feel like it pops on. Now take that all the way up to the other end, and then split the other end and do the same thing with your other zipper pull, but put it on the opposite direction. So you've got 2 that'll go around your little bag. So same thing again, one slightly higher than the other. Put that one on first and then pull it down. Okay, and then you've got your 2 little zipper pulls in the middle. Now what you need to do on here is you need to trim this to be 18.5 inches long. So I'm just going to trim one side with my scissors. I'm turn it around, measure it on my machine base and trim that to 18.5. Now you should really do that with a ruler. Now we have to put the back part on our gusset that goes around our bag, and we have our 2 pieces which are 4 inches wide. So I put one of those on the back, and then we've got our little tab that we're going to use so we can hold on to it. It's a little bit of a zipper pull or a zipper hold. Put that in and just stick that so it sits just inside that zipper. Then put the other one of these on. Now you may want to use some clips or pins, but I find because you've got a lot of stiffening on all of these things that it goes together quite easily. And we're going to sew all the way down. Go very slowly when you get over your zipper, because you really don't want to break a needle. You can feel the machine when it goes over it. Then all the way back down to the other side. Now you may want to do that seam and double stitch it. I'll just quickly do that now. Now we want to make our gusset. So we're going to pull this up to the other side, put that there, and that will make our little tab sit out a little bit so we've got something to hold. Now we're only going to sew one side on here at the moment, and make sure that it goes straight across. So I'm going to grab that there and just tack this one side down. Then I'll show you a neat little trick that we can do to machine sew it so it's all together. We may need a pin to hold this. Now undo your zipper. And what I didn't say earlier is always check to make sure that your zipper works. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to pull those fabrics apart so we don't have a lot of fabric that's in there. And we're going to take this gusset around to this side and line that all up there. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch down this side, and it's going to be going through all those layers again. Now you may have to just move your zipper head out of the way a little bit because you don't want that in your way on this end. And just sew all the way down slowly over the zipper as before. And cut your thread there. And now if you pull this through, you'll see that's all nicely machine sewn. Now what you need to do, you just need to go across the bottom here and join up that row of stitching from one side to the other. And do the other edge. Take your scissors and cut those parts off. And don't do what I just did. And get your back zipper hold caught up in your seam. Now I just unpicked that. That doesn't really matter. Those stitches aren't holding anything. So now you've got your center part of your bag. What we need to do is we need to divide this into 4 so we can start putting our top and bottom on. So fold that in half so you've got one point there. Now, we want to flip this because we want to do this on the inside and we do want to do it on the seam. So put a little mark there and there on each side. Fold it in half all the way across. Little bit of mark in your seam, and then down the bottom, another mark in your seam. Now pop those 2 markings that you've done together and mark the others. So we've actually marked each quarter point of your bag all the way around. And same again with the other side. Now, we need to do our top and our bottom. So for our top of our bag, I'm going to put this piece on, and you can see, because I've got the half square triangles, I've got 4 points. So what I'm going to do with those 4 points is match with right sides together, and I'm going to put some pins at each 4 point. Okay, now that you've pinned all the way around, make sure that your zipper is undone. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the base down and we're going to sew all the way around, and we're going to use the stitching line that we did before as a guide. Now, when you sew around here, an awl does help you, and pull your pins out before you get to them. Sew all the way around this side and then sew all the way around the top. So now that you've got all the way around to the other side, cut your stitches, and you'll see that you've got your lid and your base sewn in your little hat box. Now what we need to do is we need to put our linings in. Now you'll love the way that these linings go in because there's a little bit of hand sewing, and if anyone knows me knows I really don't like to hand sew too much. And I'll just show you how to do the top one, and then we'll come back again. So off this one as well, I've folded it in half, make sure that it and into quarters as well. I'm a little bit out there, but that doesn't really matter. And what we're going to do is the same thing again, but we're going to sandwich that top part of our zipper gusset in between. And this time when I do it, I'm actually going to use some quite big pins. You can try and use your little clips, but they don't tend to hold. These are big pens that I use in my quilting machine. So if you put one of those in every quarter, So you get your next section, join that up in the next quarter, because you've got the interfacing on this fabric and it's quite stiff, and if you use your other pins they tend to bend. So join up all your quarters and go all the way around. Now you'll see here you managed to squeeze that in. I'll put another big pin in the middle and I'll just show you, if you can have a look on the inside, see how it's a little bit wavy. So go all the way around. Now they'll be able to do 3/4. You won't be able to join up the bottom one. You'll have to do a little bit of hand sewing. So join up this one. I'll use a big pin. And you'll find you'll be able to go and keep going down to around about there. And what you've effectively done is you've sandwiched the top of the zipper in between each one. I'm struggling a little bit here to put it in. So keep pinning all the way around. Now I'll just roughly put those pins in and I'll show you how to do it on the bottom side as well. So on the bottom, all of that will fold in like that. And then match up, find your little mark, match it up with the fold, and the same thing again, and match it up as far as you can. So make sure your pin's in and just keep working it around as far as you can. When you've got all your pins in, all the way around the top as far as you can and around the base, it does look a bit weird, but it does work, I promise you. So when you've got your base, you've got your interfacing, put your interfacing towards the bottom and hold your edges together, help your awl. Leave that first pin in. Get your machine on, lower your pressure foot down and put your needle down and make sure you stitch along that previous stitch line. So just go carefully all the way around, taking your pins out as you go and keeping all those outside layers together as much as you can. So keep going all the way around as far as you can on each. So continue stitching all the way around as you go, and you'll find if you take out that first pin that you did on the other side, that you'll be able to take this around just a little bit further than what you could pin before once you remove that first pin. Now cut your stitches, and then what we need to do is we need to take this part and we flip that out and over our lid. And hopefully we haven't caught up any edges that we shouldn't. And push it all the way around. And we do have a couple of stray threads. And then the same with the base, push that all the way through. Now we have our little hat box. The last thing we have to do, actually the second last thing we have to do, is we need to put a little bit of extra interfacing inside that lid. Now you can actually put some foam in, but bag batting or one of your Peltex iron-on ones work. This is just plain bag batting. I've cut that circle to be 6 inches. So I'll just slide that on the inside and spread it all around. And then you'll have to hand stitch up that little opening that's there. Now same thing for the base. I've turned the whole thing inside out. Same thing again. I just fold it in half and then flatten it out. Put that in and then of course stitch that up. Give it a little press. I find if you've got another tin or a box, cover it with a towel and then you can shape this around. So if you've got a round tin or something, cover it with a towel and then you can press the iron over the top of it if you want to use one of the iron-ons. But I'll just get my little zipper back around. There we go. Some gorgeous little hat boxes. I hope you enjoy making this and thank you for watching. Please give me the thumbs up and check out my other videos. You'll see I've got a video just on how to put your zippers on. Like us on Facebook. Check out my online store and my studio and happy sewing. Bye.